Oh, yes, we're here. Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 42 of the Insiders on Real Estate and Marketing.
I'm delighted to have my great friends here, Andre and Kelli Kocher. Yeah, there you go.
Episode 42.
I know. What is this?
Well, you're in such high demand that I just didn't know when I could get to you. So, but they have, I could literally say they have followed Amanda Pomeroy and I through a number of companies.
Literally.
And they were always the first one.
That's cool.
Yeah, it really is. It's the first one to call, and Kelli always just said the same thing. Where are we closing?
You must be doing something right.
Well, Amanda's doing something right. I just kind of open the door and she comes in and we start doing business all over again. But I think we're in a great spot and Amanda's doing great. And so I love these people dearly and respect them as well. 20 years, correct, in the business?
Just about.
It was almost 20 years. One thing, whenever you research a little bit, so you always learn a little something. I didn't know Andre was a CPA.
I am.
And I knew he was smart, but now I'm really impressed.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah.
It's one of those things once you get, you never let go of.
Yeah.
I don't really practice, but
Right, but but the
Well,
knowledge.
you
not
probably
gonna let it
practice
go.
it in your business with, you've got multiple
it just helps with numbers. You know?
Yeah.
Right.
She has an accounting degree, my degree's in accounting, so that really
Well, and
goes well.
part of that numbers, besides just the normal transactional equations, is you guys are investors as well in real estate. So looking at deals and using that skill set is probably very helpful to know a good deal from one that you don't want to
Hopefully.
across. And then they're disciples of Dave Ramsey. And how long have you been involved in Dave Ramsey?
16 plus years.
Wow. So, and I mean, obviously it's been a great program for you, and it's more than just the lead gen opportunities. It's a sort of a lifestyle that you can pass on to your clients as well, correct?
Absolutely. We buy into it, we follow it, we live it, we've taught it, and that helps us in the program, that helps us get more transactions, if you will, but it's only because we understand it. And we've closed probably 850 deals with Dave Ramsey.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. You know, we've had a couple of different couples on the show over the last few years that are both in the real estate business. And that's what we see is that if you're a couple in the real estate business, it just becomes your life. You know, you live it, you breathe it, you walk it, you talk it, and it makes sense to me. But when do you ever get a break for your own personal selves?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yes.
I think
Well,
we might talk about some team building while we're here.
Well, that's when we began building our team, was back 2011, 12, when we had been in real estate for a few years.
So up until then, it was just the two of you?
Yes.
Okay.
And we were trying to do it all ourselves. One year we closed 100 units, just the two of us.
Oh, wow.
And literally I was at the point of quitting, burnout.
Yep.
And we had to do something. So our first
hire was Amanda's daughter.
Yeah.
That's right, Abby, yeah.
She was our assistant, and she came in, you know, a younger person, and just did things like that, where it took us longer to pull the trigger on cleaning up databases and that kind of thing.
I'll never forget, I said, we want to convert from this system to this system, but be careful. This is everything. So take your time and do this right. And like 5 minutes later, she came back and said, it's done. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, that's when we knew we needed help.
Hey, there is an advantage to youth and having younger people on your team.
Right.
It really is.
And then when do you make the progressive decisions to add another team member and how do you divide and conquer at that level?
We talked about it before, but she was on House Hunters. And the couple that's on House Hunters was a Dave Ramsey client, and they got into real estate. And so we've mentored them and been with them, and they're at our office. And she was new, and we'd gotten some internet leads, and our opinion was they weren't very good leads. So we said, we'll just pass them to you. We don't have time to work them, we'll pass them to you. And we'll get a referral. And we started getting checks.
A check shows up in the mail, and I went, where did this come from? I want more of that. How do we do that? And that's what opened the door to say we can do that. We can add help. And we hired a buyer's agent, and that's how it all started.
Okay.
Well, that's incredible. So tell us a little bit of, and this is for the viewers who are not in real estate, who don't know who Dave Ramsey is. Can you give us a little blurb about what that means to be a Dave Ramsey client and to be a Dave Ramsey follower?
So Dave Ramsey, the whole program is based on the biblical principles. It's based on biblical principles, living below your means, paying cash, not credit. Okay, no debt. That's what he preaches, if you will. And that's the program.
Right.
And he's been on all the radio shows, TV shows. He's big. He's got a huge office. When we first started with him, I think they had 2 or 3 floors in an office building, probably similar to this. Wow. Now they have their own building, and they have somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,600
So when you
employees.
say Dave Ramsey client, what does that mean?
So Dave endorses local providers, or Ramsey Trusted Real Estate Pros is what they call us now. And on his radio show, he'll say, if you're thinking of buying a house, call one of my trusted real estate pros.
Oh, sweet.
And so he has a huge following, so we get leads, and that's how we get Ramsey business.
We have zip codes all over DFW.
Okay, all right, great.
And I think
great.
he's kind of the trusted consumer source.
Yes.
So
yes.
if Dave speaks and he endorses,
Yes.
that has a lot of credibility to
And if somebody
that
comes
endorsement.
through that understands Dave or knows Dave, that's a big plus for us. Because again, we follow it, live it, teach it.
That's great, guys. That's
Yeah.
great. I like that.
So you guys having now, what's the size of your team now? How many people do you have on your team?
Oh, there's about 17.
Okay. So you're like a small brokerage,
Oh,
in your-
yeah.
right, in yourself. So what were those points and times? Did you ever look at it and say, should we do our own brokerage firm versus the KW, stay with the KW model? And what were the compelling thoughts?
We have been at the same market center with Keller Williams since day one.
Okay.
And we've seen a lot of people come and go. And I think people.
And come back.
And come back.
And come back, yeah.
And for us, we just want to sell houses.
Yeah.
And work. And so they're known for their training. It's a great company to work for. The brand is there. And we just didn't want to take on that liability for being the broker.
Well,
And-
prior to really about the last month, none of us were brokers. And so it's like none of us wanted to be a broker. Well, now I'm a broker, but that's for a different reason.
Okay.
Because we're starting a property management company.
Oh,
And I
okay.
had to be a broker in order to do that.
Got it.
But that's what that's for. We have to go out on our own.
Yeah, and we're part of
Yeah.
Gary Keller's mastermind, so we get a little not one-on-one, but small group,
Sure.
coaching, whatnot. It's
Right.
pretty cool.
Well, and obviously that's not a slight to the KW brand in my question, because I love Keller
Yeah.
Williams. But I think also probably you guys always go to the big national meetings annually, correct?
Yep.
And so I would imagine you establish a lot of good contacts
Yes.
throughout the country that could be a potential referral source.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And that's just good for your business. I have known realtors who have left the big box realtors to go to a smaller, more independent, and seems like everyone that I know that did that have gone back
Yes.
because of the support, the camaraderie. And there's a lot that you get with those larger brands. Keller Williams is great like that. I've worked with Keller Williams for over 20 years in different ways through Mike Brody and through different realtors. And it's just a solid place for that entrepreneur who likes their freedom
Yeah.
Yeah.
a little bit.
It's funny, I think it was 2 years ago at Entree Leadership in Nashville. I think it was Nashville. Mike Brody was there. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. He's still learning. And
We had him on the show.
Oh, he was Dallas. It was Dallas. We saw him in Dallas. And his son was there too.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's awesome.
And I don't think he's not part of the program. He was just there because it was good.
So how do you approach marketing with your team? Mark, I know you had some questions about
No,
that.
it's right in the scope there, is how do you utilize social media, your database, kind of what's your successful formula?
well, we use the Keller Williams 33 touch program, more than 33 touches a year.
I think we
with
figured we're
multiple-
about a 59 touch, 58 touch a year.
between.
So that's a prior client that you've sold a home to or
No,
sold a home
that's
for?
somebody that we've met,
Somebody you met, okay,
which includes clients.
okay.
Okay, so someone that you physically have put into your database.
Yes.
All right, and about 58 times, how are you touching them? What are you doing?
It's a variety of things, sports schedules, newsletters, their personal, written newsletters, phone calls. We're big on calling our database. What else?
We call the database twice a year. The newsletters 4 times a year. We do a Christmas card. We do the sports schedules. I think are 3 or 4.
Client
Maybe missing
events.
one.
We do about 3 or 4 client events.
And then emails. A lot of emails.
So that many touches, it's about once a week. It sounds like that your database is hearing from you.
That's about right, and it probably doesn't work out that way for each person.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And that includes direct mail as well as digital?
some.
Yeah.
Like the Christmas card and the newsletters, things like that.
We have a full-time marketing specialist that makes us look good on social, on all the sites.
Good,
She
good.
does all that, so, yeah.
And then the dialogue, when you do talk to clients, what are you getting as a sense from the people you sold houses to? Because you're not just calling them saying, "Are you thinking about selling your house?"
Right.
I mean, you've got a relationship with them.
Right.
So, what?
It is more about the relationship, checking in to see if they need anything,
Yeah.
have any questions. Sometimes we're telling them about something that's going on in the market or making sure they got an invitation to a client event. Yeah, we're trying not to make it, do you know anybody looking to buy or
Yeah,
sell?
yeah.
We're just, it's a care call.
Yeah.
It's a true care call.
We try to make our whole business relationship based, not transaction based. And if you do that right, a lot of those calls are easy. You know, it's how you doing? How's the new baby you just had? Or I mean, some of these people we've done multiple
You're staying
transactions.
in touch with them.
Well, that's the key, right? It's a
I
contact
think
sport.
that is such a key. I preach that here on the show all the time. I've bought houses, and still the realtors that I buy houses from, I must be using the wrong realtors. I never hear from them after the transaction.
Yeah, we can take care of that for you.
It's like I want,
Yeah, you just took
I
care of
guess
that.
I am one of those typical clients that I want to, not necessarily be your friend, but I want to hear from you.
want to hear. Too
I
many
want
people
you to
don't.
call me up and say, how's your HVAC in the house this summer? It's really hot.
Right.
You know, do you need anybody? I've got some vendors here. Or have you filed your, what is it
Homestead.
thing? Your
Homestead.
homestead.
Yeah.
Because I was telling Mark, I was sending him emails in January going, what is this? I don't know what this is. You know, there's so much that a realtor can do and so many opportunities that they have to reach out to that database. I mean, there's a theme, there's something every single month that you could reach out to your people and go, oh, hey, what about this?
Yeah.
And that's the relationship you're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I do a monthly market update where I send out and say, you know, kind of like we were talking about earlier, if you look at the areas you're talking about, Collin County specifically, they say the prices are falling. Well, they're not really falling. People were paying $100,000 over list. So
they're settling back to normal
Now
now.
they're not paying $100,000, so technically the prices are falling.
Yeah.
But they're really still way better than they were,
Yeah.
and they're actually going up in the last few months.
And inventory going down? demand
Inventory
going-
was down about a month and a half ago to 2 months. It's kind of starting to tick up a little bit, but this last 30 to 45 days, I don't know if it's the heat. We just can't seem to get buyers out. And
Probably,
it's caused inventory to peak up a little.
Right.
It's still low inventory.
Right. And then you got August, back to school. Is that always typically you find as well that
Well-
that also stymies activity a little bit?
A little bit.
Well, from a number standpoint, July and August are usually big months. And for us, they're going to be down compared to last year.
Okay.
Still good,
Okay.
but not where they were last year.
Right, right.
Do you think in this economy that is a little sketchy, you know, we never know what we're going to wake up to, but do you feel like that in this economy that building a team for someone who's trying to establish themselves into a real estate career is a good idea? How would you advise someone about building a team? Yay, nay, wait, do it now? What are your thoughts on that?
Probably a transactional tip to that. In other words, is there a point in time at 5 million, 10 million, whatever it is that?
Do it as soon as possible.
Really?
Yes, we waited way too long.
Yeah, and the, you know, being a numbers person, I looked at it and said, well, if I hire somebody, that's just taking money away from me. Well, hiring the right person allowed us to do more business, which means we made more money but didn't work as much.
Okay.
So
sweet.
the
I like
key is
that.
going to be, are you a brand new agent who has no business and no income? Not a good idea to build a team, right? Get yourself established. But if you've got a spouse and you make good money and the money's not really the issue, get you an assistant, because an assistant's going to allow you to work smarter. That's always the first hire, is the assistant or
We
transaction
just had
person.
a fear mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We weren't thinking big enough.
Too conservative.
Oh,
Too
okay,
conservative.
that's a great point,
Yeah.
because isn't that a problem across the board, whether you're building a team or whether you're implementing a marketing plan, that you're just scared to pull the plug
Yes.
because you kind of don't know
Yeah.
what's
Right.
going to happen,
Yeah.
you know? And so making that step and being brave enough to pull the plug and do what you know could be good, having the backup for it, I think is a good idea.
I think we were too caught up on thinking who would want to join a team. Why, you know, why wouldn't they be their own agent? And that's
Right.
just not true.
No.
And so when we realized we were offering an opportunity to someone, you know, with a job,
Yeah.
and to do something that they enjoyed and loved, whether it was the flexibility of the whole thing or the atmosphere or whatever, that was a light bulb.
Well, and your team now has expanded into more family, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So we have 2 key players that are family members. Our
Oh,
son,
cool.
our son and our daughter-in-law, Patrick and Tiffany, are major players in our team. And so, you know, we're not getting any younger. We've been married 40 years. We're getting close to 60. So we're starting to think about are we ready to slow down a little bit and pass the torch?
Right.
So we're prepping them for that.
Because this can be a legacy business,
Yes.
correct? Yeah.
It can and should be.
Yes, should be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the-
the plan. I think the key there is you've got to be careful. I've read some books on it. You have to make sure that they want to be a part of that. Maybe they don't want to be, maybe they just want to work.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't want to run
Yeah.
it. Like I have no interest in running a team.
You can't assume that they want to
Right.
take the torch.
Right.
If you asked me to run a team, I'd say, sure, but I'm going to fire everybody in the first 2 weeks.
Because you're Mr. Independent.
Well, I'm Mr. I don't need to tell you 5 times to do something. I told you once, you're out.
Right.
But that's part of leading a team, and
Yeah.
she's very good at it. You have to constantly tell them. You have to constantly tell them.
Yeah.
Sometimes 5, 7,
And
8
that's
times.
work.
It is.
That's work.
It
yeah.
is, and she enjoys it. I don't.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the
That's right.
day, it's management. Because
It's understanding
Yeah, you
people.
got to understand people's what's their motivation.
management. That's
It is
exactly
management.
right.
Right.
That's
I
what
mean,
it is.
that's what I do. I mean, I don't have to get involved
And you're
that
so
much.
good at telling people what to do.
Well, I encourage them what to do.
Wait.
That's usually
when?
the
When?
first warning. But you have to get into people's mindset, how they operate.
Yeah.
And,
And I have
not
to
everybody
say,
operates and works the same
There's
way.
just so
he's
many
great about that.
different personalities and knowing, what it is that motivates them,
Right.
keeping them happy. And what I figured out is a lot of it is just listening and being there for them.
Agreed.
When I added one-on-one meetings, that made a big difference.
Yeah. And
I'm not very good at listening.
well, and everybody has something they're managing, so compassion is always
Yeah.
helpful as long as it doesn't cause disruption of production
Yeah.
to that side. So let's talk a little bit about investment market, because you guys have successfully invested and you've gone in some new directions with that. What's the investment availability out there in today's marketplace? Are there properties to find, buy, and lease?
I think there are. It's hard because it's hard to cash flow the properties right now. With
Why?
the prices being so high
They're so high.
and
And
taxes.
and debt is gonna
Insurance,
be
debt,
yeah.
insurance, those things are, insurance has gone through the roof
Right.
last year.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, and so when you couple that all in, and the rents are high, but if you're putting 20% down, minimum required for an investment, and you're doing a 15-year note, which again, Dave Ramsey recommends, they're not gonna cash flow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
So you can maybe do a 30-year note, maybe they cash flow, but they're not gonna cash flow much. And so you have to make the decision, are you gonna buy one, or are you gonna buy multiple? And right now is probably not a bad time to buy. We have a client that just purchased one in Sherman. I think Sherman's a great market.
Yeah, that's a good market. But
because they're expanding up there. The TI plant is huge. So I think there's some good opportunity there. I like Fort Worth as well too.
Wow.
Not so much Frisco, McKinney. Those are great areas.
Right.
But it's hard to find anything that
Right.
makes sense.
Well, probably the other variable too is we all might get excited about appreciating values, but if you're an investor, that's all non-homesteaded taxes.
Oh yeah.
So you're subject to whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Where you were. If the last property I sold was in Frisco ISD, but it was Plano. But my taxes were
Yeah.
on the Frisco side and so that begins to compress into your.
The increases
margin.
this year were pretty significant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you protest in those cases or?
Usually I will do an online protest and I'll just try to justify something. I never go in and ask for a whole reduction because they're not going to give it.
Right.
But if you try to justify it and ask for something, I always get something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every little bit helps.
There you go. And then in the environment we're in, because we've talked about interest rates, how are you counseling your buyers associated with potential rate shock, or assuming they can qualify?
Yeah, I think that's a big issue right now is buyers think the interest rates are too high. And I talked to a lender yesterday, we can get 6 something, 6.8, 6.7, something like that in that range right now. And people go, that's too high because they're used to the upper 2s or 3s. But
That was La La Land.
Yeah.
well, it was. And interest rates, those are good interest rates, 6,
Yeah.
That's a good interest rate.
No question.
So the problem is trying to communicate that to the buyers to say, now is the time to buy because I'm not paying $100,000 over list price. So I can have my pick pretty much on a house. I might even be able to get it below list, and I might have a higher interest rate, but the lenders we work with in the next 2 to 3 years will refinance for free. There's a few charges involved, but basically refinance for free to the lower rate. So why not lock it in? Because you're going to wait for the interest rates to fall. Buyers are going to come back. We still
Right.
have low inventory. Now you might get 5.5% or 5%, but you're going to pay 100 over. That doesn't really make good sense. But it's trying to communicate that to the buyers.
Right. And is there a natural seller response to buy downs, or is that a part of your heavy negotiating strategy?
I think we're going to see a lot more of that. We kind of went through some of that maybe, I don't know, 6 months, a year ago when it kind of slowed down, but then it went right back to crazy, right? But we are having that conversation this week with the lenders about what can we offer as incentives on some of our listings that aren't selling as fast as we think they should.
Got it.
Are buy downs a good thing?
I think from a buyer standpoint, the buy down is good. I think from a seller standpoint, I would rather have like a 2-for-1 buy down as a buyer because I'm going to refinance. But as a seller, having that buyer come in, that 2-1 buy down means in year 3 he's going to pay 6.5 interest. He'd rather probably not do that. From my seller standpoint, I would rather do just a straight buy down.
Yeah, okay.
So it's fixed.
Interesting.
But we're still working through the numbers.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah. Does that ever? So touch on the fiscal responsibility, financial piece. I'm kind of assuming coming through the Dave Ramsey program. So somebody buys a house, now they've got debt. What's the steps of how you work with them to move them toward
Help
independence,
us.
as one might say?
Help the world.
Fiscal responsibility, that's kind of a funny thing, right? Because I'm not sure that we do a very good job as a nation or a community really working on that and helping that. And so that's the constant battle. We don't necessarily go in, we're not financial consultants or anything like that, but if we talk to buyers, we always give them the rule of thumb that Dave Ramsey does, which is your payment should be no more than 25% of your take-home pay. You should used to be 20%, he says now 10%. You should put 10% down and you should do a 15-year mortgage. If you can do that, do that. He says do it after all your debt's paid, okay? So his point is you don't buy a house until the debt is paid for. And people say, well, it might take me 10 years. Okay, but there's no risk involved when you do it that way. You buy a house, you put 3% down, you've got debt, something happens, you run up the credit card, and pretty soon you're in financial trouble. And luckily, the last few years, you could always get out of it because you could sell your house. But what do people do? They go get a line of credit, and then they run that back up. So the fiscal issue is hard. We have that conversation a lot of times, buyers and sellers. Sellers, it's a different conversation because they're selling the home.
Yeah,
So it's all about the numbers. But for buyer standpoint, we try to caution some buyers about, should you buy? Is it the right time to buy? Because you're going to be qualified to buy a lot more
Then you can really
than
afford.
what you really should.
Yeah.
And are you okay with that? If you are, we'll help you do it, but we want to try to point that out. Probably don't do as much as we should, but again, we're not financial counselors. So.
Yeah.
We try to walk the talk. I mean, we live below our means. We're conservative. We try to be that example to clients and to our team.
Yeah.
That's important to us. We're trying to help them with that too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, we're about to run out of time, but I did want to ask you guys a final question, and that is, here we are in July, right at the heels of August. We're mid-year. What are the plans for going forward? What kind of tricks do you have up your sleeve, marketing-wise, sales-wise, with your team? Let's talk about that for a second.
We are definitely in the mindset of being proactive. We're always in the mindset of working based on the market that's coming, not the
Right.
market we're in.
Right?
And so we are implementing some ideas for that. And, we're just doing what we always do. We get up and we go to work.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big issue for people. We both, thankfully, and we're blessed to come from families that I think were good examples of work ethic. And so we both just, work hard, and it's never been about the money for me. I just like to get up every day and go out and,
Well, you
and
focus
work.
on the task, right? Not the money. The money will happen, right, if you take care of it right.
I love that.
And it's kind of like the airplane guy, you know, you put the mask on yourself first before you put it on the kid. And we always just try to get up, go to work, and do our job. Don't get caught up in the TV, the social media stuff. Because, you know, the Dallas Morning News came out with an article not too long ago. It was talking about how home prices were falling. But then in the article, that was the headline, in the article it was saying the last 2 months they were up. So which point are you trying to get across?
Yeah.
Right.
And too many
Clickbait.
people, too many people see that and they go, oh, I'm waiting for the prices to fall.
Yeah.
Can't tell you how many people have told me that over the last several years. And had they bought 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, it would have been huge. So we're just going to continue to work, do the things we do. We're going to investigate some of that 2-1 buy down and buy down programs to help our sellers and try to help get our buyers some. We do a lot of, we work with Homeward, which does cash offers that helps our offers stand out too.
I love that. I mean, just get up and go to work. That's so old school. It's so zen and it's so right on, because getting our minds caught up in all these different reasons why we should or shouldn't just disables you.
It paralyzes them.
Yeah, it does. It paralyzes you. So just get up and go.
Yeah.
Just get up and walk. So it's been great to have you on the show. I'd like for you to give me 3 takeaways, and we do this every show. Mark, I'll let him go first. Just
Let me
what
go
you
last
want.
because I'm still making notes.
You're making notes. Okay.
Still making takeaways?
What your 3 takeaways that you would like to leave the audience with today?
For me, it's add that leverage, add the help sooner than
Okay,
later.
make that team.
Even if you're not in real estate, I mean, if you're a business, you own a business. I mean, we've bought in on that, so we're highly recommending that. And then being proactive, get creative. That's what we're working on right now. And then the third one would be get up and win the morning. So I'm
I love that. That's a quote.
leading my team right now with this on successful people get up early, and that's when you can really get a lot done. So that's a big one.
Yeah.
I get up early, but it's because I can't sleep.
Yeah, I have that too.
I think it's win the morning, own the day.
Yeah.
So for mine, it's pretty simple. It's careful about spending the money, especially new. Don't go out and get a bunch of billboards and do all that stupid stuff. You know, focus on making sure that you're spending returns of value. Our rule of thumb is everything we spend, we want to try to make 3 to 4 times back on. Okay. Buy now. Now's the time to buy. It really is. Maybe not a rental property, but now is the time to buy a house. And then I think the last one for us, and it took a long time for us coming, but you know, hire a coach at some point.
yeah.
Hire a coach because they have opened our eyes to so many things that I think it more than pays for
We
itself.
have a business coach. I have a personal trainer. I have a triathlon coach, a running coach. You
Had
know,
a dietitian for a while.
the things that you're not good at,
That's
get
awesome.
help.
Yeah.
It's important.
Cool.
Mark, my dear?
You know, what I kind of heard through this is I love the part with the financial responsibility and trying to be more than just selling them a house if they're open to it, talk to them about how to, because I don't think people have ever necessarily been trained
Right.
in that side of it. Really managing your database and keeping that database active and stay connected to them.
High level of communication.
High level communication, because I just feel like, you know, I listen to Fox News every day driving in, and I just continually hear the anxieties of consumers, and so I just know people just, you know, with cost of goods and everything else and their families and all that, they just got to be anxious.
Right.
And sometimes maybe not understanding what their real estate is a real asset that has equity and things of that nature. So that touch and education and just discussion with them. But the final thing is, which I have preached forever, and it's not in our industry, and you would concur with me on this, is your health.
Yeah.
And there's just not enough in our business, whether it's mortgage, title, or real estate, is the last thing, because it's a grinding business.
It is.
It is.
And you grind from early in the morning and a lot of times till very late at night. And if you've got to address your health, because if that goes down, everything else goes away
Right.
to that side. I'm in the gym 6 days a week. I eat clean. I mean, I'm just having probably more of a health focus than I ever had before, and I admire you guys because I remember when you're.
Because say you've seen the other side.
I remember when your turning points came and when you made a decision that health was going to be a part of your lifestyle.
That's amazing.
And it's paid incredible dividends.
Not sure we'd be here at the same level without it.
I agree. So I think that's something that's hugely missed in our business that is really, really important and probably never will be a majority that do it. But I think there's a benefit because the energy comes from that. Positive mental attitude. There's so many other things that you get.
Dominoes everywhere.
Yeah,
It
you can
does.
outpace the others that you're competing against if you got the strength.
She
to
was
help.
on a panel at the family reunion, our national conference, talking about health, diet and stuff.
That's good.
Yep.
Well, my marketing take on all of this would be, I like what you said, win the morning. And to me, what that means is do it today. So if you are a business owner or you're in real estate, but you own a different business of some kind, you need to make sure that your marketing is ready every day. So you don't wait for your marketing. Get up, get your marketing done, and diversify your marketing. I'm hearing all these different things: health, finance, homes, selling, all these different things. There is such an opportunity to diversify your marketing message, still being branded as yourself, still being branded with your key services that you provide, but diversifying that message so that you're meeting the needs of people. Because our needs are great in this economy. You know, whether you are in real estate or whether you're a home buyer or whether you're a business owner, our needs are great. So to hear the marketing message, we need to be tuned in to give a message that someone needs to hear. And that to me means diversification. So diversify. And then what we've been talking about, get help, get a coach, hire a marketing person like myself. Make sure you've got the right title person. Make sure you got the right realtor. Make sure you've got a coach. You don't have to take a bunch of money and hire people as employees to build a team. Okay,
Right.
That's not what building a team means in our speak here. We're talking about preparing your business so that you have professional, experienced team members who can help you accomplish what you need to get accomplished to get the job done. So building that team, I think, is crucial. It's important.
Yes.
Well, that's it. Thank you again for your time. Next month, we've got a very special guest coming, Mr. Jim Fight. We're still trying to nail down the date, so we'll get back to you on that. But Jim Fight of Century 21 Judge Fight Realtors will be with us to talk about his new book. So until then, stay cool, and we'll see you again. Ciao.
Ciao.